Carol's Daughter Productions presents St. Jane and the Wicked Wicks, Episode 4. Written, composed, and produced by Kristin Lems. Directed by Douglas Post.
It's me, Nellie. One more time. Well, now you know about some very terrible times, which I do not like to talk about. My short vaudeville career ended when the show went broke in Nebraska, and I had to return to Chicago, penniless. Ma made me get a job at her gentleman's hotel, and her revolting boss finally had his way with me. I ran away when I realized I was in a family way. I gave birth at County and took baby Ethel into my hiding place. With no human kindness to help, she died after only 3 months. I couldn't ask Aunt Jane for help because it was my terrible secret. But when Ethel died, I rushed to Aunt Jane with the baby. She took Ethel and found her a final resting place with the angels. A quiet, grassy spot, not in a pauper's grave. I had 3 children. Another one with that terrible boss who Ma forced me to marry. And then 2 with a man I loved and then married, Rudy Themey. But a couple of months after our marriage, he was arrested and thrown in jail. So I was alone, with 3 kids, working every day, as wrung out as a dirty dish rag. For the love of God, who's doing that banging at my door?
We are looking for Mrs. Nellie Themey. We are from Juvenile Protection.
She don't live here.
Mrs. Themey, this is our 3rd visit to your home. We'd like to talk to you. Please let us in.
Why don't you damn creeps leave me alone?
Mrs. Themey, we would like to talk to you about your children.
Don't you worry about my children. Perhaps you do not know that I bring all 3 of my beloved babies over to the Crane Day Nursery at Hull House at the crack of dawn 6 days a week.
We are concerned about their little...
Tell it to Jane Addams, my best friend. She thinks I'm doing a great job. Go away.
That is surely true, but we would like to talk to you about their health and your living conditions.
Please allow us to come in.
Trying to take my kids away to the house of Good Shepherd, is it? Over my dead body. You get away from my door, or I'll tell Miss Addams, and she ain't gonna like it.
What the hell are you doing here, pestering my sister? Get away from here, or I'll paste you one, ladies or not. Scram!
We are here by order of the county because...
Do you understand the word scram, or do I have to imprint it on your chins with my fist? Get out of here. Scram!
Mrs. Themey, we'll return at a later time.
Hey, sis! Let me in. They're gone. At a trot.
Jean, just in time. Leave those wet buckets by the door. How did you know they were here?
Just lucky. Your neighbor down the hall, the little baker, Al, is it? Was standing outside smoking his corncob pipe and he saw me coming home from work. He called me over and said, "You might need help."
Oh, that little shrimp. Well, you sure showed him. That nosy lady in the front apartment, with her high and mighty airs, thinks that just because she's got a man, mine's in jail, I'm a no-good mother. I know what a good mother looks like, 'cause it's exactly what we never had.
They're cute as buttons, them 3 kids.
I never hit them, never cussed them out. I feed them before I even take a bite. In fact, I'm just about to go pick them up from the nursery, just resting my sore dogs. If only that jailbird were out and bringing home the bacon, maybe I could be the mother I want to be. Play with them, read to them, take them to the park.
Sis, you know as good as me Rudy ain't in jail no more. He left you, and that's all there is to it. The walls of this joint are crawling with bugs, the kids are sleeping on 2 chairs pushed together and sick half the time, and you're dragging your laundry basket around, looking like something out of the crypt. Ain't it about time you went after that lousy jailbird for support?
Rudy is gonna come back, Jean. You'll see.
Yeah, him in the second coming. Why don't you listen to them ladies at Hull House? Instead of chasing away Juvie Protection, why don't you haul his sorry carcass into court for non-payment of support?
I bailed him out 3 times. I sent him all the money Ma's creepy boss kept showering on me. I gave him 2 beautiful kids that look like him, and a smart one, too. What more could a man want? And not a nickel for coal or groceries.
He's got a job, and that money is going somewhere, Nell. You know he's still the boiler man over at the hotel. I haven't seen him.
You've seen him? Then I'll go down and file for abandonment, like the ladies keep saying I should. And we'll see if the worm turns.
That's right. See what that judge can shake out of his piggy bank.
Jane, our visit this evening was so inspiring. The Crane Nursery looks better than ever. All those fine wooden high chairs and the new kitchen floor.
Oh, yes, Julia. Our volunteers are miracle workers.
Some of them attend my Play-Doh club in the mornings, too. It's amazing that they find the time.
Yes, Ellen, you certainly have a loyal crew. Oh, I so enjoy these visits. I wish I could visit the children more often, although I don't read nearly as well as the women from the kindergarten college.
Yes, the women are faithful, and they bring books to the library every week.
The children loved your reading, Jane. Their little faces looked at you with such fondness. You held their rapt attention.
That's what Mary always says, but I'm sure I have a tuneless speaking voice.
I've told you for years that the children loved you, Jane.
Yes, of course, Ellen. I simply recall that Mary said it recently when we were in Bar Harbor.
Of course, Jane. You traveled together, so there's so much more contact.
She is my right arm. Of course, you are both my...
Left arms?
I'd just as soon be your right arm, brandishing an umbrella, like that night we first met Nellie and saved her baby brother.
And I'm content to be the pen you hold when you're explaining what on earth a settlement house does for all those fine ladies' magazines.
Whatever limbs you are, I couldn't manage without either of you. But speaking of contact, Ellen, how is the new Bohemian family on Polk Street that you visited yesterday?
The 2 girls are already speaking English better than their mother. I've told her about the English classes, and I think she'll join them. But, like our other immigrant children, the children are sponges for new languages.
I wish I had their talent, but it's no wonder. Some of the children spend more time in the nursery than they do at home.
After all, it offers not only English, but heat, light, and bathtubs.
Oh, thank goodness for Mr. Crane's gift. What a lasting legacy to his dear wife.
And it's such a cheerful place. The nursery attracts so many volunteers, visitors.
And donations.
I do wish, however, that some of those fine ladies would stop clucking about our hard-working single mothers.
Especially considering that some of them face the same problems with their own husbands. Battering, bigamy, alcoholism, even abandonment. They just know how to cover it up better.
Or they take the miscreant to court.
Speaking of clucking, Jane, the fine ladies at today's luncheon did not seem to appreciate your remarks about helping girls who make their living off the street. It seemed they'd like to send you back to Cedarville, on a rail.
I'm afraid my stepmother would agree. Imagine a 45-year-old woman speaking up for poor girls and women in trouble, and never married to a man. That is surely no way for a lady to behave.
Indeed, they say. Why don't you be a lady, Lady Jane?
You're from a lovely family, it's a shame.
You could have become a mother, isn't it plain? Your sacrifice is nobody's gain. Well, for a while you had something going,
And your support was growing.
you even took urchins off the street. But now your behavior's far-fetched.
You even collect the garbage.
Catholic and Jew,
Anarchist too.
you've got a motley crew.
Why don't you be a lady, Lady Jane? Seeing you in this squalor brings me pain. You should have become a mother, isn't it plain? Your sacrifice is nobody's gain.
Once you sent grace at table, now it's a different label. You even take girls who live in sin. You fraternize with the hired hand and every union firebrand. The neighborhood's rough, the kids are too tough. Haven't you had enough? Why don't you be a lady, Lady Jane? You're from a lovely family, it's a shame. You could have become a mother, isn't it plain? Your sacrifice is nobody's gain.
Thank you, fine ladies. Say, Ellen, is that the late edition you're holding?
Yes, I got it from that little Russian newsboy on the corner.
Does that poor boy ever go home?
Jacob taught himself English by reading the papers he sells, and it's his third language after Russian and Yiddish.
Like Benny, our clarinet prodigy.
Oh, I'm glad we were able to find Benny that clarinet. That boy's going places.
Is Jacob still out there, or has he packed up for the night, I wonder? His mother didn't show up this week to demonstrate a spinning wheel for the Labor Museum. Let me go ask him how she's doing.
Finally, time to read the late edition. Oh my, this is not what I expected to see on the front page.
Not another child run over by one of those terrible automobiles, I hope.
It's our Nellie.
Of course. Wasn't today her day in court, asking for child support from Mr. Themey?
Yes, it's all about that.
What does it say?
When she came before the judge, there was a rustle from the courtroom, and a young German girl approached the bench with an infant son in her arms.
So it's worse than abandonment. He's a bigamist.
Well, Jacob was still there, and I learned that Manya, his mother, has not been coming to Hull House because she was diagnosed with TB. We must prepare a basket for her. The sanatorium is so desolate. What are you looking at?
It's our Nellie at her trial today. It seems there is an unexpected appearance by a young German girl accusing Themey of paternity, with a baby almost the same age as Nellie's. There's even a picture.
Oh, dear, a photo in the paper? She'll be devastated. The trial was supposed to win her some support. Let's see.
Here's Judge Healy passing the hat around the courtroom from Nellie and the German girl. I guess he didn't know where to start between the two women. It looks like those are the only funds she'll receive.
Oh, dear. Nellie hoped that when Mr. Themey saw the children in court, he'd be charmed by them, and the family would be made whole. Of course, once a man has to be dragged into court, it's too late for that. I suspect today Nellie's bubble of illusion has finally burst. Nellie, I'm glad you've come to visit. I was glad to hear that you have married Mr. Dewar and put that awful trial behind you.
I sure hate to keep coming to you for money, Aunt Jane. It's shameful to me. But we can't live on what Al makes, and I tell him that every day.
Nellie, perhaps it would be easier if you tried to get along with your new husband and to treat him as if you liked him for himself.
I don't like Al for himself. I hate him. Besides, he hits me.
I have never heard you say such a thing before. When did he hit you, Nellie?
Well, I hit him first, but he deserved it. I broke a plate over Al's head the day after we got married, right after he announced he was quitting his bakery job. And then he swiped me back.
Not the best honeymoon, I imagine. But Mr. Dewar has a new bakery job in Englewood now, isn't that right? And I don't believe he is a violent man.
Not violent, but he's stingy. He gives me an allowance and spends the rest playing cards with the other bakers, while our stomachs growl at home.
Before you married, when he was a boarder living down the hall from you, isn't it true that he helped you out?
A Danish. Sometimes a strudel for the kids. But that doesn't mean I ever looked at him as a man.
Don't you think he thinks a great deal of you to take in 3 children not his own, Nellie?
Maybe. He gives them rolls and lets them knead the bread with him. It's comical. They get all dusty with flour.
Ah, so he's teaching them to bake.
All they can do at this point is punch the dough. They sure like what he bakes, though. They call him Pop, and little Marlowe brings him his slippers when he comes home. But I can't bring myself to love him.
Couldn't you just treat him in a kind of friendly way?
He's just a little squirt. No prize there, Aunt Jane. Al's not my idea of a... Let's just say he ain't Rudy. But that's water under the bridge.
I understand that Mr. Theme is the father of 2 of your children, but between his incarcerations, his abandonment of the family, and the discovery at the trial...
Oh, don't you worry. I wouldn't take Rudy back again if he was served up on a silver platter, smothered in $1,000 bills.
Nellie, Miss Smith and I have been talking, and we have an idea. What if we found a new, bigger place for you and Mr. Dewar? You could call it a belated wedding gift. What if we furnished it for you with second-hand furniture and dishes and rugs in a better neighborhood, in Englewood, near Mr. Dewar's new job, and paid the first month's rent so that you could get a new start on things?
Our own apartment? In Englewood? Would it have a garden with grass and trees? Maybe inside plumbing?
Yes, we will make sure it has all those things. Bad as things may seem at times, you are giving your children a much better life than you had with your mother and the rest of the Wicks, and I'd like to help out.
And with flowers, that we could see when we look out the window?
Yes, Nellie, we will find flowers. Mr. Dewar cares about you and your children, and you will all benefit from a new start.
I can't find the words no more, Aunt Jane. You saved baby Walter when Wicks was beating us. You buried my Ethel when I was all alone, and you didn't judge. You took my babies into the nursery so I could work and not worry about 'em. And I'm still here, thanks to a little bit of luck, but mostly thanks to you.
No need to thank me, Nellie.
And now you're telling me you will find a new place for my family with furniture and flowers? I don't go to church because they don't need another hypocrite. But I believe in you.
And I believe in you, Nellie. Your spirit is unquenchable.
Aunt Jane, I just can't help acting up, whether it's high-kicking, hollering, or husbands.
Yes, Nellie, we are high-spirited.
But I'll try my best to act like I got feelings for Al, even though the little shrimp repulses me.
Maybe you could teach him to dance. That's what we girls love best.
I will, for the grace of Jane.
But for the grace of Jane, I'd be out on the street.
But for the grace of Jane, I'd have nothing to eat.
For the grace of Jane, I'd never be alive. But for the grace of Jane, how could we have survived?
For the grace of Jane,
our own Saint Jane.
But for the grace of Jane, I'd still be black and blue.
But for the grace of Jane, I'd have nothing to do. For the grace of Jane, for the grace of Jane, our own
Saint
But
Jane.
for the grace of Jane, the homeless would be lost.
For the grace of Jane.
But for the grace of Jane, like ships in tempest
For
tossed.
the grace of Jane.
For the grace of Jane. For the grace of Jane. Our own Saint Jane.
Born to give so many comfort,
Born to
our
give
own
so many
Saint Jane.
comfort.
Our
To
own
give so
Saint
many
Jane.
comfort, our shelter for the poor, shelter for the poor. She's our own Saint Jane.
In her deeds you shall see such goodness.
In her face you
In
shall see
her
such
face,
She's a mother to the world,
and Hull House is the world's home. But for the grace of Jane, the homeless would be lost. The homeless would be lost. The grace of Jane, for the grace of Jane, for the grace of Jane, our own Saint Jane.
You've been listening to St. Jane and the Wicked Wicks, an audio musical, written, composed, and produced by Kristin Lems, directed by Douglas Post, music direction by Diana Lawrence, piano arrangements and performance by Tom Cortese, mixed and edited by Dan Dietrich, featuring Rebecca Keeshan as Nellie Wicks, Kathy Cowan as Jane Addams, Maddie Sachs as Julia Lathrop and First Juvenile Protection Woman, Monica Saflick as Ellen Gates Starr and Second Juvenile Protection Woman, and Frankie Leo Bennett as Jean Wicks, with additional vocal parts sung by Frankie Leo Bennett, Patrick Burns, Rebecca Keeshan, Maddie Sachs, and Monica Saflick.